I've just had pretty rough 24/7 hours. Yesterday I was like hugging my pillow, you know, like they were sending avatars of Tom York and stuff. And you know, like he seemed quite frightened, and I said before, you know, like it's like a kind of community in this helm in V2K, for good and bad. And like God showed me, you know, the plight that he's going through, and I was kind of holding the pillar to kind of reassert him, you know, that God, and you know, like I am with him, you know, like through this tough time. And I was hugging this pillar tight, and like I felt this hand come out. Madonna's avatar was there. As I say, I don't know, you know, if it's the real Madonna, but I think it's highly likely because she messes around with witchcraft and she's part of this Jewish Kabbalah crap, you know, like the satanic one, not the actual authentic Orthodox Jews. I felt this hand come out and like try to rip my heart out my chest. How they can do this, I don't know, but I know this is technological sorcery via Hadron Collider. Yeah, so that was like pretty awful, but I kind of laughed it off because, you know, like there's like egging it on, like come on then, like finish me off, because I feel I've already died to myself. Like God's put me through stuff, you know, where I have literally died in myself and been kind of reborn again. So, you know, this life don't really mean that much to me. It's only my family that I would miss anyway. You know, like, you know, like and worry about, you know, if I was dying or something. Anyway, you know, like that was kind of a shock last night. She was enjoying it, you know, the power of it, but, you know, I just laughed it off. And then today I felt God's presence, and like, you know, like they've been trying to restrict my breathing. You can hear that they're affecting my throat right now. The way I speak, I think it was yesterday, they was trying to trip me up. They're doing everything they can to try and finish me off, but they always take me to kind of breaking point and kind of laugh about it and then come back again and then do it again. They're always kind of trying to restrict my breathing. Been various playoffs with Tom York and Madonna's avatar, you know, like emotional sort of torture, you know, like physical insults, you know, like endless fat sort of things, you know, all sorts of stuff. And like, I just felt God's presence, and then I felt like they were being reprimanded. And he says that this is a demonstration of them coming off the cliff and into, you know, his wrath, you know, because they think that Satan, you know, is like calling them to his kingdom, but it isn't, because he's under the same judgment as the rest of them. You know, like God is the ultimate superior, and they really do think that they can overthrow him, and it's laughable. So, you know, what I'm kind of saying, you know, like any of those who practice witchcraft, and God has told me that literally all people who practice witchcraft are actually in V2K, because, like, as I say, they're trying to use them to overthrow God, you know, and take in Christians and torture them and stuff. But it's not working out so well. As I say, they felt disciplined today, and as I say, it felt like wild wolves. I know that Satan is involved with this yesterday, and it got quite dark between me and him yesterday. But God says keep looking, you know, like, because he's using like sweep. Out of the program Sooty and Sweep, you know, like, because I think he's really funny lately. And God uses things like that to demonstrate, you know, like he's no, like he just wants us to walk the line of innocence, you know, and not go down this dark path of self-righteousness, you know, like lording powers that you shouldn't have over other people in the dark, you know, like, because he always says that whatever comes, you know, that was hidden in the dark will come to the light. It is in the Bible. I don't know quite where, but I know he's in there. Yeah, so those who practice, you know, please, like, refrain from it, because God is really going to do some serious damage, you know, through his people and through his spiritual prowess, you know, like, so stop it, because like it's just not nice to those who are suffering. And I know there's a lot of people, you know, that are mentally ill, especially like in my local area, that God's pointed out, that have been used as target practice, especially by these community leaders. So, you know, think twice before you do it, because you're going to end up in a really bad place if you do. Thank you.